BikeRadar's Bike of the Year is over for another year. We've tested 75 bikes back to back over the last 6 months, and that's 75 bikes at a myriad different price points, you know, from just a few £100s to 5 figures and more. All different kinds of bikes for different kind of disciplines, everything from full-on gravel to super fast aero. And then amongst the 75, there was one bike that really did stand out above all the others, and it takes our accolade of BikeRadar's Road Bike of the Year. That bike is Rondo's HVRT CF0. Now, they debuted a couple of years ago with a bike called the RUUT, RUUT, and this was a gravel bike that had adjustable geometry, so it could be that race bike that you could even, you know, ride cross on, but then you could flip it, make it a little bit more relaxed, and it became like a bike packer's bike, you know, a more expedition focused off-roader. So just what is the HVRT, or HVRT as they like to call it? At heart, it's an aero road bike, full-on race machine as it were, but it has adjustable geometry, so that not only this is a bike you can go full flat out racing on, it's also a bike you can ride all day in its more comfortable position. And the eagle-eyed of you out there will notice, if you look at those rear chainstays, they're slightly offset, and that can only mean one thing. What they've also done with the HVRT is they've built in compatibility with 650B wheels. More on that later. So the HVRT at first glance, it does look pretty much like any other aero road bike out there. It's all camtail profiles and, you know, aero this and aero that. It's got the, you know, the nice cutaway for the wheel. It's got truncated airfoil shapes. It's got the bladed fork. But then drill down into the details, and it's got some really clever design solutions on this bike. At the back end, it's got, you know, the now de rigueur drop seat stays, but these drop seat stays actually extend beyond the rear thru-axle by a good 3/4 inch or so. And what this is actually doing, as it sweeps down, it slightly curves as well. It's actually creating a sort of almost like a bow-like spring shape, so that when you're riding, you're hitting rougher surfaces. That back end has much more compliance than you'd think possible from what is essentially an aero, you know, oversized aero bike. Up front, you look at the fork, and this is one of the first bikes that we've seen where they've actually integrated like a wing, which makes air flow around the brake rather than get into that kind of messy area. Now that probably will have some sort of benefit when you're looking at wind tunnel testing. Either way, I don't really mind, I just think it looks cool. The HVRT's concept originally was to be a super fast aero road bike, but integrating that RUUT TwinTip fork technology to be able to adjust the geometry. But building both of those things into the same bike, it's also meant that they've looked at how elsewhere it can be that little bit more user-friendly, that little bit more adaptable. So in its 700C guise with the super deep, super wide hunt wheels, you've still got generous tyre clearances there. You can still get a 30C tyre in running on that sort of rim. That opens this bike up to being a great bike for fast cobbles, classics type riding, where an aero bike probably wouldn't be your first choice, but because you get that decent volume of rubber in there, as a pure road bike, this thing has so many more dimensions than you know, just being good at beating the air. This HVRT model is the CF0. This is the top of the range bike. Comes with mechanical Dura-Race, which is such a good group set. I think when I originally did our first test on Dura-Race, I described this particular group as the finest mechanical group set to date, and it still is. Up front, we've got Rondo's own design stem, which is sort of slightly minimal, slightly flattened, slightly flush, looks really nicely integrated into the bike without being an integrated stem. I've talked to the guys at Rondo about why they didn't go the full integration route, and they just thought that HVRT needed to be a bike that was completely user-friendly, that could be taken apart, put back together. Because of its multi-personality, shall we say, they just wanted it to be as user-friendly as possible. You know, this is the sort of bike that they say you could take to your training camp, and you know, you can go out and do the fast group ride, and then you can do the big long endurance ride and it's other guys, and then you could even have a bit of fun by taking your second set of wheels and going and hit the gravel trails. And to be able to do all that sort of thing, they just wanted to keep things as simple as possible. They just wanted a bike that can just be worked on by anyone and anywhere. Plugged into that stem is a real nice top grade Eastern carbon bar. It's an off the peg choice, but it's a really nice shaped bar. It's got real nice mid drops shape, feels really good in the hands. It's a nice compliant bar, yet it's stiff enough. so it helps reduce that sort of road buzz. The wheels are really interesting. They're 50mm deep, tubeless ready, full carbon disc wheels that come from the British brand Hunt. It's a collaboration between Rondo and Hunt, and it's here where that second set of wheel thing comes into play too. Because Rondo did this collaboration with Hunt on the wheels, they also offer two different types of 650 wheel that are both built to work perfectly with the RUUT. You don't get that second set of 650 wheels in the price of the bike, but what Rondo do is they do give you a substantial discount voucher that when you order the wheels, that second set of wheels from Hunt, from their website, you do get quite a big reduction. So the alloy 650B wheels that we opted to spec on our CF0, I think we got them at a price of about £280, and this is a sub 1500 gram super wide alloy 650B wheel set, and we all know, Hunt have a really good reputation. They're an upstart brand, just as our Rondo, and it seems like a really good meeting of minds between the two. So what Rondo have done with the RUUT is a really, really ambitious bike. They're trying to create one platform which can effectively be three bikes in one. That's quite a difficult trick to try and pull off, but we actually think they have. In its super fast guise, this has got properly steep angles. It's 73 degrees plus for the head, 73 degrees plus for the seat. It's a proper aggressive racer's bike. And it really, really goes. It's light, with big deep carbon wheels, mechanical group set, and everything else on it. This bike it's way under 8 kilos, and in a XL or 58 centimeter size, that's a pretty damn light proposition. But then when you flip that geometry, the bike has got enough comfort, enough compliance in it that to be riding in that much more relaxed position, where your back's that little bit more upright, it doesn't feel like you're riding around on a firm race bike. The steering feels a little bit more stable. Everything about it truly feels like two bikes in one. So I thought the downfall of this bike will be that they've just tried to go one step too far, that they've given it the 650B compatibility. So you put the smaller wheel in with the wider rim, the big fat tyres. We were running it with 47mm wide tyres. You would think, oh, it's just going to be too firm, it's going to be too hard, it's going to be too aggressive. And actually, almost the adverse was true. It was just an absolute blast. It's one of the very few bikes I've been on, and just gone out and just kept riding and just kept hitting stuff and just laughing, even when I'm on my own, looking like a lunatic, laughing to myself because this thing just feels that good. The RUUT is a road bike at heart, and a tremendously good one. It's just a road bike that's been liberally sprinkled with such versatility to match its superb handling that it's just great anywhere and does everything you could ever want. If you've only got, God forbid, space for one bike in your life, this is the bike to get. From a personal point of view, I do own too many bikes. I test lots and lots of bikes. I find lots of bikes I really like. I end up buying them, so I've ended up with this huge, expansive collection. But since testing this, the CF0, I actually look in my garage and I can see 3 or 4 bikes in there that, although I love them and I love riding them all the time, I should really part with to be able to fund the purchase of this one, because this does everything they do just as well in all those different environments. It really is a game changer, and it fully deserves to be our bike of the year.